it's Sherry with Hecate's Needle. Welcome to my craft room. We are joined here today by the adorable Jelly Bean. He is prowling right now, so who knows what kind of chaos we're going to have. We always have chaos when there's a Jelly Bean in the room. Currently, he's looking out the window, though, so who knows. It is the end of June, beginning of July, so I thought it would be a good time for a mid-year WIP Parade. Let's take a look at all of my projects and see where I'm at and where I need to go and how many of them are just sad. Very sad, because there's not a lot of progress. But anyway, I do have notes in case you see me looking down. I did write everything down because my memory ain't what it used to be. You know, it just works that way. Anyway, so let's start off with the year to date, January 1st through June 30th statistics, because everyone seems to love statistics. I don't know why. But I math, so I mathed. So far to date, I have worked on 20 different projects. I have 9 finishes, and I have done a total of 54,158 stitches. That's a lot. I didn't realize I did that many stitches. Apparently I did, so yay for me. Okay, now I am actually organized today. I know, shocking, isn't it? But I have my check sheet. I have been keeping up with it. As you can see, so far to date, for this year, there's only one project that I have not done any work on, and that is my dark elf. And lo and behold, I spun the wheel this morning and it landed on the dark elf. So I will be getting some work done on that one. So that's good. But anyway, now that all the mathing is out of the way, let's get into it. I've organized these from oldest to newest projects. So my oldest project, it was a stitch along by the Steady Thread, and it was back in 2023. Now, the Steady Thread every year has a year-long stitch along. It goes for 49 weeks. Now, I started this in May of 2023, so when I started it, it was already halfway over. But I went ahead and started it anyway. And it is my botanical black work. And this is where we're at so far. Currently, I'm at 57% done. Now this, when it is finished, it will be a square of 7 columns and 7 rows. So I have done 4 of the 7 rows. I have 3 left. It is strictly black work, no cross stitches. Now, this project here, the way they do it is they give you a variety of different frames and different shapes that you could do the stitch along in, and then each week they give you one of the little squares that you can just plug in. This obviously is the one that I chose. It is Celtic weaving, and it's just in a square, because my thought is once this is finished, I will likely make a pillow out of it, like a throw pillow. But that's where this one is. Now for this one, I am using the fabric is just a Witchelt. It is 14 count Aida, and it is just in light blue, nothing fancy. The threads I am using are all DMC. For the green, I'm using 505. For the pink, I'm using 604. For the purple, I'm using 333. And then for the bits of yellow, I'm using 444. But that's my oldest project. My next one is, it was also a stitch along. I started it also in May of 2023. And again, I think I want to say I started it a bit late. Not as late into the stitch along as the last one, but it had already begun. But this one is by Satsuma Street. And it was the 4 element stitch along. Now when it is finished, it will look like that. What I have done thus far, we have this. I have completed the water. I have completed the earth. I am currently working on air and moving into fire. You can see because I've just been color completing, so I've already begun the sun. Now again, I started this one in May of 2023. It is currently at 76% done, so we're getting close. I have actually 4,940 stitches left, so I fully hope to get this one completed this year. It is being stitched on just a plain black 14 count Aida. It is all DMC, all called for colors. I hear Hecate screaming in there. She probably wants me to come get her. She's got this game going now where she'll sit in a room and just scream until I come see what's wrong, and then she'll run into another room and scream until I follow her. So that's my life. Okay. The next project I have was started in June of 2023. Now this one is a stamped kit given to me by my mother. She found it somewhere for 99 cents. The only information I have is this. I will say that the instructions written on the canvas were written by someone who English is not their native language. We'll put it that way. But it's just a vase of lilacs. It's nice. I'll stitch it. That's fine. My mother sent it to me. I will stitch it. But here we are. Now, this one is at 53% complete. I have filled in this table. I have filled in all of this. I have filled in most of the vase, and I'm currently working on this big background section here. And I filled in bits and pieces here. This one is another one that I am color completing. But that's where we're at. Now this one, as I said, it's at 53% complete. I actually have 8,002 stitches left, so it's not bad. Now I'm in no big hurry to finish this one. When it's finished, it's finished. But I mean, I am getting closer. I am using all kit materials. I believe this canvas is like an 11 count, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, an 11 count. So of course I'm using 3 strands over 1. But there's that one. My next one was also a stitch along, but it was the free stitch along by Owl Forest Embroidery. This one was, I began in June of 2023. So again, I finished in the middle of this, or I began it in the middle of the stitch along. It is the Treasure Island. That was the stitch along for 2023, the free stitch along by Owl Forest Embroidery. And when it's finished, it will look like this. Now, I am 45% complete, but I have done this much. I've been working on these guys, but to give myself a break from these characters, I have begun working on the map in the middle. Now this one, I still have quite a bit left. I've got 13,316 stitches left. So it will probably not be done this year. But we'll see, you never know. But that's where I'm at on this one. I am stitching this on a 16 count Aida that I tea-dyed myself. I am using the called for DMC colors. Again, nothing really fancy. Typically if I do a stitch along, unless it's something special, I just use things that I have already in my stash. There have been exceptions, like for some of Noctiflora's stitch alongs, I'll get the called for cloth, that sort of thing. But usually I just use what's in my stash for stitch alongs. Now the next one I have is another stitch along. You see there's a trend here. But once again, I did not start it immediately. I got into it later, after it had already begun. And this one I began in April of 2024, and it is the Deadly Aquarium Stitch Along by Lola Crow Cross Stitch. Now this one, as I said, I began in April of 2024. I am 32% complete. I did the frame, and then I just decided to start here and work my way across. As you can see, I've done the little tidal pool and the little anglerfish here, and I'm working to fill this one up, and then I'll move to the middle one and then this one. Now this one I am stitching on a 14 count Aida. It is an opalescent mint, fresh mint or cool mint, something like that. You can't really see the sparkles on the, there we go, on the fabric. But it is 14 count. I'm using all DMC, all called for colors, nothing fancy. This one, I still have 13,540 stitches left. Now don't get me wrong, I love working on it. When when I spin the wheel and it lands on it, I love working on it. I think this tidal pool here looks amazing. It looks so good. It's just getting my wheel to land on things. It doesn't always cooperate. But there's my Deadly Aquarium. Let me check. That's all the stitch alongs for a while. Now there's one other, but I just started it. So it'll probably be the last one you see. Now the next project I have, I began in June of 2024. This one is the Animal Crossing Polly Pocket. It is by Glitch Stitch AU. As I said, I began this one in June of 2024. It was my Midsummer's Eve stitch or start. I love it. My daughter and I both play Animal Crossing. Both of us have been playing Animal Crossing games since the GameCube edition, the original, the OG. But we both play Animal Crossing. We both have our little islands right now, and I'm doing this one for us. Now, I am currently it's a sad start, but I've been working on it the last week, so I did actually get some progress. I am currently at 10%. I got it up to 10% this week. So there we go. As you can see, we've got the beginnings of the waterfall here. We have this area, and then we've got the fountain. We've got the little turnips there. So that's where we're at. Now I'm stitching this on, again, it's just a Witchelt 14 count Aida. It's in light blue. I'm using all the called for DMC. As I said, I'm at 10% complete. I still have 34,336 stitches left. It's gonna be a hot minute. But I am happy that I got it to 10%. So now that I reached a milestone, 10%, I can put it away and work on something else, which will be nice. Okay. So there's Animal Crossing. My next one I began in August of 2024. This one is Dark Elf by Winkin', Blinkin', and Odd, which I don't believe is still in business. I couldn't find a website for them anymore. So, but I do love this pattern. I love this artwork. Now, this is the only project that I have not worked on this year, and when I spun the wheel this morning, it landed on this project. So I will be working on it this coming week. Well, the rest of this week until I can make some decent progress on this. This one is currently only at 4%. So I'd like to work on it at least until I get it to 5%. I am doing this on a 16 count white Aida. It's full coverage, so just plain old white. This is all I've gotten done. I still have 62,565 stitches to do on this, so it's gonna be a while. This will not be finished this year. Okay, it may not even be finished next year. But like I said, I do intend to work on this until I get it to 5% at least. If I get more done, that's great. I'll take it, but at least 5%. So there's that one. Now the next one I've got was my birthday start for this year. So I started it in January 2026. It was a kit that my wonderful, fabulous husband gave me for Christmas. It is Alice in Wonderland by Bothy Threads. I absolutely love Alice in Wonderland. It was my favorite book as a child. It is still one of my favorite books. Absolutely love it. As I said, I started this one for my birthday this year. I have threads everywhere. I have a needle hanging loose. That's wonderful. Okay. I am using all the kit materials, and this is what I've gotten done so far. Now this one, I have at 6%. Now, I still have 26,750 stitches left. But as you can see, Alice is taking shape. I'm working on her skirt now and the little mushroom. I kind of started on the little vines. But this is where we're at so far. This is a 14 count printed Aida. So there's that one. Now the next one I'm working on, my next project, is one for my son. It is not going to be for Christmas this year because it's huge, but it's just one that I'm doing for him. And it is by Arzonarica, and it is Absinthe. This one I have on a big stand, so let me get it. Here we are. As you can see, I've been working on the in. Now, this one is only at 2%, but I started it in January of this year, and what's bad is right after I started it, I think, is when I broke my elbow, so I had to take a break. But I still have 64,682 stitches left on it. So, like I said, this is not going to be his Christmas present this year, but he'll get it when he gets it. Now that one, I am using a 14 count Aida, I believe. No, I think it's a 16. And it's just plain white because that is a full coverage. So that's Absinthe for my son. He'll love it once I finally finish it. You know, it is what it is. We do what we can. Okay. Now the next one I have is Strawberry Delight by Yasmin's Made with Love. It is part of her Fruit Garden series, of which I intend to do all 10. I've already completed 2. This is my 3rd. Now this one, I began this one in March of 2026. I am currently 27% complete. There we go. I have begun with the frame. I still have 2,985 stitches left. Now this is a Witcheled fabric. It is a scrap that I had. It is in, I want to say, like Aqua Riviera, something along those lines. The floss I'm using is by Forbidden Fiber Co., and it is in the color Big Apple. I thought it was perfect for a nice juicy red strawberry. This one, of course, will be finished this year. And it probably won't take long. before I start the next one. All right, the next one we have is another kit. I began this one this month, June of 2026. It is one of my new starts, and it is the Red Daisy Cat by Design Works. It was another kit that my husband gave me, and I love it because it reminds me of my cute, sweet little Snickers. I'm using all kit materials. This is one of my small kits that I'm trying to get out of my stash. I want to do all of them. And this is where we're at. I have done this light gray, and I've done the white, but you can barely tell. This one is already at 29%. Like I said, it's a small kit. It won't take me long to finish it. 14 count Aida that was included in the kit. I have 2,338 stitches left, so it won't take long. My last project, this is my newest one, and it is the Goddess of the Crossroads Stitch Along by Witch's Garden Crafts. Now, this one is based on the, obviously, Goddess of the Crossroads, a witch goddess, Hecate, who is the namesake for my little Hecate. Hecate is the more contemporary pronunciation. But since I have Hecate, and she was named after Hecate, I had to do this one. Had to. Now, as I said before, I always just pull things out of my stash when I do a stitch along, and this one is no different. The fabric is Mothwing by Forbidden Fiber Co. It is a 14 count Aida, and I have completed the frame. It would help if I had it right side up, but that's the frame. That is the only thing that has been released thus far. Now, I am using the called for DMC colors, nothing fancy. That being said, I originally wanted to use the DMC Diamant. I hate this stuff. It sucks. I hate it. So I said, I'm not doing that. That's what I was going to do the frame with. No, we're not. We're not about that. That stuff is just awful. I hate it. But anyway, they've only released the frame. That's all I have. I have completed it. I am caught up. Now, this stitch along will be going through August. There are, now we got the frame. Now we have 8 more pieces. So the eighth piece will be released August 21st, which consequently is my son's birthday. So that is my newest project. And I have no idea how many stitches it's going to have or anything like that, but I've been doing good at keeping up with my stitch alongs. So hopefully this one won't be any different. And really, the size of that pattern, I don't think it'll be a problem. I really don't, because that's not all that big. And there are 8 pieces. So you figure 8 pieces in that's not going to be bad. But there is my WIP Parade. Those are all of my projects that I currently have. Now I can honestly say my plan is to, for sure, finish the 4 elements. I would like to also, well, I will finish the Red Daisy Cat, and I will finish the Strawberry, and I will finish Hecate. The next one I may try to finish, possibly, might be the stamped kit, the lilacs. We'll see. Like I said, that one's really not a priority for me. I don't care. That's another one that I will likely turn into a pillow, like a throw pillow. So it's not a big deal to me. But the 4 elements, definitely I want to finish this year and get that one off my list. What I'm doing is, I don't have to wear these anymore. I'm not reading. What I'm doing now is, as I mentioned before, all of the small kits that I have in my stash, I'm stitching those. So as soon as I finish the Red Daisy Cat, I'll have my husband pull another piece of paper out of the stitchy cup and see which one I'm going to do next. Once I finish all of my small kits, then I'm going to do small projects, like patterns that I have. Once those are done, we'll move to medium-sized. Now, that being said, I have a lot of big projects that are like 65,000 stitches, whatever. As I finish a big project, like the 4 elements, when I finish that, I will not replace it with another one. I am whipping down because I want to stitch through my stash. That being said, I'm not on a no buy year. I'm on a low buy year. However, I have bought some patterns, and there are a few on my wish list that I want to also get, but I would like to clean out my stash. So I don't have a whole lot of like kits and things like that. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind the kits. The kits are nice. It's nice to just be able to open it and you have everything you need except a pair of scissors. But I think I prefer just getting the pattern. That way it gives me license over what fabric to use and everything else. And if I choose to change a color on something, I can. Like, say if I'm doing a project with a cat, and it's, a white cat, I can change it to a black cat for my little Hecate. And I like being able to do that. And with kits, what's the point of buying a kit if you're not going to use the fabric and you're not going to use the floss they give you? You might as well just buy a pattern. That's the way I look at it. So I don't have a whole lot of kits on my wish list, but I do have a lot in my stash. And the reason for that is my husband. I adore my husband. I do. He's my best friend. He is the love of my life. He is my soulmate. However, for him, when he's gift buying for me, it's easier for him to get a pattern. Or not a pattern, a kit. Because if he buys me a pattern, then he kind of feels like he has to buy everything that goes with it for me to stitch it. And he doesn't know what to get. And so he prefers to just get me a kit. And that's fine. I don't mind. Like I said, I don't mind kits. If I'm going to buy it, I buy a pattern. But I have bought some patterns recently, but I am trying to stitch my way through my stash. And that way I can clear some of the stuff out that I've had for a couple years. Because there's no point in buying it if you're not going to stitch it. And so I have them, I'm going to stitch them. And so like I said, I'm starting with the small ones, knock those out. Then I'll move up to the medium ones and knock those out. And by that time, I should be finished with all of these big projects that I have. Because as I said, as I finish a big project, I'm not replacing it until I get down to a certain number. Ideally, I would like to have maybe 5 big ones going, and then the rest be smaller. And so that is my goal. But anyway, those are the projects I have going at this point. And as you saw, there are 4 of them that will be finished. I currently have how many? I currently have 12. So by the end of the year, at least 4 of these will be finished. Now 2 of them will be replaced. The red daisy cat I will replace with another small kit. The strawberries I will be replacing with another fruit garden series, which the one I have kitted up currently are the grapes. So the strawberries will likely be followed by the grapes. And then I still have to buy the patterns for some of them. I've already done the pomegranate and I've already done the lemon. I'm working on the strawberry, and next will be the grapes. So I still have to buy some more. But anyway, those are my projects. That's what I've got, and that's what I'm working on this year. As I said, I spun the wheel this morning, so the next project I'll be working on is my dark elf. So I want to try to get that one up to at least 5%, if not a little higher. But anyway, that's what I've got, and Jelly Bean is actually asleep. No chaos today. Wow. That means he's saving it up for the middle of the night tonight. Because we're not allowed to sleep. Yes, I'm talking about you. Oh, he got his little cranky face going. But anyway, that's it for me this week. I will be back in 2 weeks with my usual progress update. If you liked any of the projects you saw today, please feel free to subscribe so you can see my progress. See how long it takes me to finish some of these big things. Otherwise, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I appreciate all of you. Everyone is welcome in my craft room. Subscribers, people who just found me, people who just stop in once in a while to see what I'm doing, everyone's welcome. But now I will say to my American viewers, this weekend is July 4th. I hope all of you have a wonderful and safe July 4th weekend. And watch your fur babies with the fireworks. I know they tend to upset fur babies. None of mine. Mine don't care. Honestly, 3 cats and a dog, and nobody cares about the fireworks. But anyway, I hope the rest of you have an amazing weekend, and I will see you again in 2 weeks. Bye.